Her birthday. She wants to celebrate her birthday. With me. The audacity of it still makes my teeth ache. A dull throb behind my eyes that no amount of coffee seems to fix. 5 years of marriage to Sarah, and now this. A month ago, she dropped the bomb, a confession wrapped in a flimsy excuse of stress and too much wine, like a cheap gift wrap on a nuclear device. Cheated, with a colleague, from November to December. Just a little holiday fling, I guess. She's blocked him, moved in with her sister, started therapy. All the right moves, all the textbook steps for the repentant spouse. But the scent of her expensive lavender shampoo, still faintly clinging to the guest bathroom towel, feels like a mocking whisper. Did she really think that was going to cut it? That a few tearful apologies and a promise to work on herself would erase the image of her in someone else's arms? My name's Ben, by the way. 41. Used to think I had a pretty solid handle on things. Good job, decent house in Portland, a life that felt stable. Now, stability feels like a punchline. The whole thing is a mess. A beautiful, intricate mess, actually, because the affair, that's just the top layer, isn't it? The visible part of the iceberg. What lies beneath, that's where the real story is. The funny thing is, she didn't even tell me. Not really. She confessed, sure, but only after I'd already seen the digital breadcrumbs. A shared calendar invite for a late-night project meeting that ended with a hotel booking confirmation. A single, forgotten earring in the passenger seat of her car, not one of hers. I didn't confront her immediately. I just observed, watched her carefully, the way you watch a faulty wire, waiting for the spark. And then she broke. The confession was a relief, I think, for her. For me, it was confirmation. Confirmation that the cracks I'd felt forming in our foundation weren't just my imagination. It was a blueprint. So here we are. Her birthday is this weekend, and she wants a family celebration, meaning her parents, her brother, maybe a few cousins, all of them blissfully unaware, sitting across from me, while I know. I bought her a gift, a small, elegant silver necklace. It's sitting in a little velvet box on my dresser, catching the afternoon light. A pretty little thing, isn't it? Shiny, innocent, but it's just a prop. A symbol of the lie we're about to perform. Because while she's hoping for reconciliation, for a fresh start, I'm planning a different kind of party favor. A surprise, if you will. Something she won't forget. The question isn't if I'm going to do it, but how I'm going to make sure it lands. And what happens when the music stops? The silence in the house, my house, used to be comforting. Now it's just loud. Every creak of the floorboards, every hum of the refrigerator, feels like it's screaming about what isn't here anymore. Sarah, her clothes are gone from the closet, her toothbrush from the holder, just a ghost of that lavender shampoo, a lingering, mocking scent. Funny how something so small can feel so huge, isn't it? Like a tiny crack in a dam, and you just know the whole thing is coming down. I've been doing a lot of thinking, mostly about how I missed it. How I, Ben, the guy who prides himself on being observant, on seeing the angles, somehow completely whiffed on this. Was I really that blind? Or was she just that good? A master of misdirection, a true unseen architect of her own little drama. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other things were just smoke and mirrors? The way she'd always complain about her boss, Mr. Henderson, being a jerk, said he was always on her case, making her work late. Turns out, he was just her cover story. A convenient shield for her little escapades. The irony is, I actually felt bad for her. Even offered to call him, give him a piece of my mind. Shoot, I even bought her those noise-canceling headphones for her late-night work sessions. What a bummer. The first real hint that something was off, beyond the earring and the calendar, came from her sister, Chloe. Sarah's always been super close with Chloe, practically inseparable. But a few weeks before the confession, Chloe started acting weird, skittish, avoiding eye contact. One day, she came over, ostensibly to borrow a book, but she kept glancing at me, then at Sarah's empty spot on the couch, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. The air in the room felt thick, like a storm was brewing. I remember the faint, metallic tang of fear, or maybe guilt, hanging in the air. I just couldn't place it. Now it all clicks. Chloe knew, and she kept quiet. That's a whole new layer of betrayal, isn't it? Not just from Sarah, but from family, the people you're supposed to trust. I've been digging, not in a crazy, stalker way, just methodical, the way I approach any problem. Sarah's work laptop, which she conveniently forgot to wipe before she moved out, yielded a treasure trove. Emails. So many emails. Not just with her colleague, Mark, the supposed lover, but with others. People I didn't recognize. And the content, it wasn't just about work. It was about finances, offshore accounts, shell companies. My jaw nearly hit the floor. This wasn't just a fling. This was something bigger. Something cold and calculated. Mark was just a pawn, a distraction. The real game was being played elsewhere. And the prize? My life savings. My future. The quiet hum of my laptop, as it processed the data, felt like the purr of a sleeping predator. What a tangled web she wove. And what a fool I was, walking right into it. The silver necklace on my dresser glinted, catching the light. A tiny, innocent-looking noose. You ever feel like you're living a movie? One of those psychological thrillers where the hero slowly realizes everyone around him is wearing a mask? That's my life now. Every conversation, every interaction, I'm dissecting it, looking for the tell. It's exhausting, honestly. The coffee tastes like ash these days, even the good stuff. Maybe it's just me. Or maybe it's the bitter aftertaste of betrayal. After finding those emails on Sarah's laptop, the ones about offshore accounts and shell companies, I knew I couldn't just sit on it. This wasn't just about a broken heart anymore. This was about a broken trust, a broken bank account, and a whole lot of broken laws. So I did what any rational, slightly wired guy would do. I called in a favor, not from some shady underworld contact. Mind you, my buddy Dave. He's a whiz with data, a real digital bloodhound. Used to work in cybersecurity for a big tech firm before he got fed up with the corporate grind and started his own boutique consulting gig. He's the kind of guy who can find a needle in a digital haystack, then tell you who dropped it, why, and what brand of hay it is. I met him at his office. If you can call a converted garage with 3 monitors and a beanbag chair in office. The air smelled faintly of cold pizza and energy drinks. I laid out the situation as much as I could without sounding completely unhinged. Dave just listened, nodding occasionally, his fingers already dancing across his keyboard. He didn't bat an eye when I mentioned the offshore stuff. Just hummed. So, you think this is bigger than just a fling, huh? He asked, his eyes still glued to the screen. Bigger than the Pacific Ocean, Dave. This is an ocean of messed up. He worked for hours, the rhythmic click of his keyboard a strange, percussive soundtrack to my unraveling life. Then he found it. A series of transactions, complex and convoluted, moving money through a network of dummy corporations. And the ultimate recipient? A holding company registered in the Cayman Islands. Nothing unusual there for people trying to hide money. But then the twist. The beneficial owner of that holding company wasn't Sarah. Or Mark. It was her boss, Mr. Henderson. The jerk she complained about. The man I'd almost call to give a piece of my mind. My stomach dropped like a stone. He wasn't just her lover or her cover. He was the mastermind, the puppet master pulling the strings. The man who had been sitting across from me at holiday parties, shaking my hand, while he was systematically dismantling my life. The taste in my mouth was suddenly metallic, like old pennies. What kind of person does that? Plays the victim, then turns out to be complicit in a massive financial scheme? It's a whole new level of cold, calculated deception. The silver necklace on my dresser, the one I bought for Sarah's birthday, now felt like a tiny, gleaming shackle, a symbol of the elaborate charade I was about to expose. And the question isn't just how they planned to screw me over, but why? Was it just about the money, or was there something else? Something deeper, darker, lurking beneath the surface of their perfectly crafted lies? Dave leaned back, a grim satisfaction on his face. This isn't just a divorce, Ben. This is a federal case waiting to happen. The hum of the servers in his garage office seemed to grow louder, a low, ominous growl. The air in Dave's garage office, thick with the smell of stale coffee and ozone from his humming machines, felt colder than usual. Or maybe it was just me, the chill seeping into my bones as the full picture of Henderson emerged. It wasn't just a fling. It wasn't just financial fraud. This was a choreographed demolition of my life. And Henderson, the jerk I'd pitted, was a conductor of this twisted orchestra. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other people he's played like a fiddle? How many other lives he's quietly dismantled for profit or just for the sheer thrill of it? Dave, bless his wired brain, just kept digging. He found more, layers upon layers of digital dirt. Henderson, it turns out, wasn't just some run-of-the-mill corporate executive. He had a past, a very carefully scrubbed past. But Dave's good. He found the old news articles, the archive forums. Henderson, or rather, Arthur Hayes, as he was known back then, had been involved in a similar scheme years ago, a real estate scam down in Florida. It imploded, leaving a trail of ruined investors. But Arthur Hayes somehow always walked away clean. He disappeared for a few years, then resurfaced as Mr. Henderson, polished, respectable, and working his way up the corporate ladder. Same playbook, different city, different victims. The man was a ghost, a chameleon, and Sarah, my Sarah, had walked right into his web. Or had she? That's when the real twist hit. Dave found a series of encrypted messages, buried deep in a forgotten folder on Henderson's old cloud storage. Not between Henderson and Sarah, but between Henderson and Chloe, Sarah's sister. The same Chloe who'd been acting so skittish, so guilty. The messages weren't recent. They dated back years, long before Sarah and I even met. They talked about the plan, about getting what's owed. My blood ran cold. Chloe wasn't just an unwitting confidant. She was in on it, from the beginning, a co-conspirator. The faint, sweet smell of Chloe's perfume, which I'd always associate with family gatherings and innocent laughter, now felt like a toxic gas. So, this wasn't just a betrayal by my wife. It was a family affair. A long con years in the making, with me as the unsuspecting mark. The silver necklace on my dresser, the one I bought for Sarah's birthday, now felt like a tiny, gleaming spider, its delicate chains ready to ensnare. The pieces clicked into place with a sickening thud. Sarah wasn't just manipulated. She was likely groomed, brought into the fold by her own sister and Henderson, who probably had some long-standing vendetta or shared history with their family. What did they want? What was owed? And how deep did this rabbit hole go? I looked at the glowing screen, the lines of code and data swirling like a digital vortex, pulling me deeper into their dark secret. I had to know, and then they would know me. The revelation about Chloe, about her being in on it from the start, hit me harder than anything else. Not the affair, not the stolen money, but this family, the people you're supposed to trust without a second thought. It's like finding out the foundation of your house isn't just cracked. It was never even there, just a painted facade. The silence in my house now isn't just loud, it's deafening, punctuated by the distant wail of a siren, a sound that used to mean someone else's trouble, but now feels like it's coming from me. I spent the next few days in a haze, barely sleeping, barely eating, just staring at Dave's screen, at the digital breadcrumbs of Henderson's past. Arthur Hayes. The name kept echoing in my head. Dave, ever professional, kept digging. He found the old court records, the bankruptcy filings from that Florida real estate scam. So many ruined lives. But one name kept popping up, a small local construction company that went under, taking a lot of people down with it. A company owned by Sarah's father, my father-in-law. That's when the pieces truly locked into place, with a sickening click that reverberated through my very bones. This wasn't just about greed. This was about revenge. A long, slow, meticulously planned payback. Henderson, or Arthur Hayes, had been financially ruined by Sarah's father years ago. Maybe a bad investment. Maybe a shady deal gone wrong. Who knows? But it was clear. He blamed him. And he wasn't just coming for the father. He was coming for the daughter, for the family. And I, Ben, the unsuspecting husband, was just collateral damage. A convenient vehicle to get to Sarah, to get to her family's remaining assets, to twist a knife in a way that would truly hurt. My hands, gripping the cold glass of the window, felt rough, callous, but utterly powerless. What kind of person holds a grudge for decades, then systematically infiltrates a family, marries into it, just to dismantle it from the inside out? It's beyond cold. It's biblical. An eye for an eye, but with a corporate structure and offshore accounts. And Sarah? Was she a willing participant in this long con? Or was she just another pawn, manipulated by her own sister and this ghost in the past? The thought of her, caught between Henderson's machinations and Chloe's apparent complicity, almost made me feel a flicker of something other than rage. Almost. But then I remembered the earring, the calendar invite, the casual way she dismissed my life for a fling. She made her choices. The silver necklace, still sitting on my dresser, now felt like a relic from a different lifetime. A symbol of a love that was never real, a marriage built on a foundation of lies, and a decades-old vendetta. My reflection in the window, distorted by the city lights, looked like a stranger's, a man whose entire world had shattered, leaving only shards. But those shards I realized could be sharp, very sharp. The game had changed. This wasn't just about getting my money back. This was about exposing a predator, about justice for the lives he'd ruined, including mine. And I knew exactly how I was going to do it. The birthday party this weekend was no longer just a prop. It was a stage. The days leading up to Sarah's birthday party felt like walking through thick fog. Every interaction, every phone call was a calculated move. My mind, usually a chaotic mess of project deadlines and home repairs, was now a finely tuned instrument of, well, let's just call it strategic planning. The metallic taste of old pennies from Dave's office had been replaced by the dry, almost dusty taste of anticipation. It's a strange feeling, knowing you're about to blow up your own life, but also knowing it's the only way to rebuild. I rehearsed the scenario in my head 100 times. The moment I'd walk into her parents' house, the forced smiles, the smell of her mom's famous lemon cake, a scent that used to mean comfort, now just a painful reminder of a past that never really existed. How do you sit across a table from people who, whether knowingly or not, were part of a decades-long deception? It makes you wonder, doesn't it, if anyone is truly innocent in a family like that? My first step was to secure my own position. I called my lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Brenda. I laid out the bare bones of the financial fraud, the offshore accounts, the involvement of Henderson. I didn't mention Chloe yet. Too much, too soon. Brenda, usually unflappable, was quiet for a long moment. Ben, she finally said, her voice tight, this is significant. You need to be extremely careful. I assured her I would. I also made sure all my own assets were protected, moved into accounts she couldn't touch. It felt like building a bunker while the storm brewed overhead. Then came the tricky part, getting the uninvited guest to the party. Not a person, but information. The kind of information that would hit like a brick. Dave had compiled everything. Henderson's true identity, his past scams, the connections to Sarah's father's bankruptcy, and most importantly, the digital trail of the money, leading directly to Henderson and those Cayman Island shell companies. It was all neatly packaged, a digital dossier. The hum of Dave's servers, usually a background drone, now felt like a low, triumphant growl. The plot twist? I wasn't just going to tell them. I was going to make them see. I'd found an old and used projector in the back of my garage, covered in dust and cobwebs. A relic from a forgotten family movie night. It was perfect. I cleaned it up, tested it. The whirring sound of the fan, the faint smell of hot plastic as the bulb warmed up, felt strangely fitting. A symbol of light, revealing the darkness. I planned to project the key documents, the damning evidence, onto the wall during the party. A little visual aid for their family celebration. The silver necklace, still on my dresser, caught the last rays of sunlight, reflecting a distorted image of my face. It looked almost like a tiny, gleaming eye, watching, waiting. The birthday party was set for Saturday evening. Sarah was expecting a quiet dinner, maybe a few gifts, a chance to talk things through. She had no idea she was about to become the star of her own private documentary. And the cliffhanger? What happens when the lights go down and the projector flickers to life, casting the shadows of their secrets onto the walls of their perfect family home? The air in Sarah's parent house was thick with the cloying sweetness of lemon cake and forced cheer. Everyone was there, her mom beaming, her dad looking a little too jovial, Chloe oddly quiet, her eyes darting around the room like a trapped bird. And Sarah, she looked hopeful, wearing a new dress, a soft blue that brought out her eyes. She even gave me a small, tentative smile when I handed her the silver necklace. "It's beautiful, Ben," she whispered, her fingers tracing the delicate chain. A tiny, innocent gesture, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. The weight of the gift in her hand felt like a lie. Dinner was excruciating. Small talk about work, about the weather, about anything but the elephant in the room. I could feel the tension radiating off Chloe, a faint, almost imperceptible hum in the air, like a faulty transformer. She kept glancing at me, then at Henderson, who was also there, of course, Sarah's colleague, sitting at the same table, laughing a little too loudly at her dad's corny jokes. He had that slick, confident smirk I'd come to despise. He thought he was untouchable. He thought he'd won. Then came the moment. The cake was served, candles lit, everyone singing happy birthday. Sarah blew out the candles, her face glowing in the flickering light. "Make a wish, honey," her mom chirped. And that's when I stood up. The room went quiet, all eyes on me. The clatter of a fork dropping onto a plate was shockingly loud in the sudden silence. "Before we cut the cake," I said, my voice calm, steady, cutting to the sweetness like a knife, "I have a little presentation. A birthday surprise, if you will." Sarah looked confused, then a little annoyed. Henderson's smirk faltered. Chloe went utterly still, her face draining of color. I walked over the wall, where I'd subtly set up the projector earlier, disguised as a new smart speaker. The whirring sound of the fan filled the room. Then the beam of light hit the wall, illuminating the first slide. It was a photo of Henderson, not the polished executive they knew, but a grainy old mugshot. Underneath, in bold letters, Arthur Hayes, real estate fraud. Florida, 2008. Gasps erupted. Sarah's mom dropped the cake knife. Her dad's jaw went slack. Henderson sprang to his feet, his face contorted in a mask of pure rage. "What the heck is this, Ben?" he roared, lunging for projector. But I was quicker. I'd anticipated his move. I held up my hand, stopping him cold with a look that promised pain if he came any closer. "Just the beginning," I said, my voice still calm, almost conversational. "This isn't just about a cheating wife. Folks, this is about a decades-long con, about stolen money, about ruined lives, about a family that conspired to take everything from me." The silver necklace, still around Sarah's neck, seemed to shimmer in the projector's beam, a cold, hard truth laid bare. What would they do, and how far would they go to silence me? The projector clicked, advancing to the next slide, revealing a web of offshore accounts and shell companies, names and numbers glowing ominously on the wall. The silence in the room after that first slide wasn't just quiet. It was a vacuum. You could almost hear the air being sucked out of their carefully constructed world. Henderson, his face now a mottled purple, lunged again, but Sarah's dad, bless his clueless heart, actually grabbed him, pulling him back. "Arthur, what the heck is going on?" he sputtered, clearly bewildered. The smell of burnt sugar from the neglected cake mingled with the sharp, acrid tang of fear. It was a potent cocktail. I just let the projector do its work. Click. The next slide showed the money trail, a spaghetti junction of transactions leading from our joint accounts to Henderson's shell companies. Click. Then the clincher, a scanned document, an old, signed agreement between Arthur Hayes and Sarah's father, detailing a failed business venture, a massive debt, and a clause about future compensation. It wasn't just Henderson's revenge. It was a twisted, decades-old contract, a family curse, played out in corporate boardrooms. Sarah, who had been frozen, finally moved. She ripped the silver necklace from her neck, the delicate chain snapping, and threw at me. It clattered to the floor, a broken, glittering mess. "Ben, what are you doing?" You're insane, she shrieked, her voice raw, cracking. Insane? I asked, my voice still unnervingly calm. Or just tired of being played, tired of being the mark in your little family drama. Her eyes, usually so expressive, were wide with a mixture of terror and something else. Recognition, maybe? Then the real twist. Chloe. She'd been silent, a statue of guilt. But when the slide with her father's name appeared, something in her snapped. It wasn't supposed to be like this, Sarah, she sobbed, turning to her sister. He promised. He said it was just about getting back what Dad lost. He said Ben wouldn't get hurt. The words hung in the air, heavy and damning. Sarah's face went from pale to ashen. Her eyes darted between Chloe, Henderson, and me. The betrayal, the real, deep betrayal, wasn't just mine. It was hers, too. She was a pawn, just like me, a tool in a larger game. The truth, finally, was a bitter, metallic taste in her mouth, just like mine. Henderson, seeing his carefully crafted facade crumbling, tried to make a break for it. He shoved Sarah's dad aside and bolted for the front door. But I'd already thought of that. Dave, my digital bloodhound, wasn't just good with computers. He'd also rigged the smart lock system. A quick tap on my phone, and the front door deadbolt with satisfying thud. Henderson slammed into it, cursing, trapped. The air crackled with a sudden tension, a storm of emotions swirling around the room. What would a corner rat do? And how far would they go to keep their secrets buried? The projector hummed, casting the cold, hard light of truth onto their shattered lives, illuminating a path forward. But for whom? The air in that room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Henderson, still holding his phone like a ticking time bomb, stared at Sarah, then at me. Sarah, her face a crumpled mess, looked at me, pleading. This was it, the moment of truth, the choice that would define everything. Do I let him drag her down, even if she was manipulated? Or do I protect her, even after everything she'd done? The projector's hum, usually a quiet drone, now felt like a high-pitched whine, demanding an answer. I looked at Sarah, really looked at her. Not the wife who betrayed me, not the pawn in some twisted game, but the woman I'd spent 5 years with, the woman who, for a long time, I thought I loved. And then I looked at Henderson, the architect of all this misery, the true predator. The choice, surprisingly, wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. You want to play that game, Henderson? I said, my voice cutting through the tension. Go ahead. Send it. Send every single thing you have on Sarah to the feds. Send it to her work, to her parents, to the whole darn world. Because you know what? I stepped closer, my voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. It won't save you, and it won't stop me. The faint, metallic tang of his fear was almost satisfying. His eyes widened. He hadn't expected that. He'd expected me to protect her at all costs, to bargain. But I wasn't bargaining. I was done. You're bluffing, he stammered, but his hand was shaking. Am I? I raised an eyebrow. Or are you just realizing that you're out of moves? That your little insurance policy just expired? The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by Chloe's quiet sobs. Then the true twist. Sarah's dad, who had been standing there, looking utterly bewildered, suddenly snapped. He lunged at Henderson, a primal roar escaping his lips. You ruined my family. You ruined my daughter, he bellowed, tackling Henderson to the ground. It was a messy, undignified brawl. 2 middle-aged men flailing amidst the scattered cake and broken dreams. Sarah's mom shrieked. Chloe screamed. And I just stood there, watching. The projector, still shining on the wall, cast their chaotic shadows, a grotesque dance of betrayal and revenge. The police arrived minutes later, drawn by the commotion and, no doubt, an anonymous tip I'd sent earlier. They found Henderson pinned under Sarah's enraged father, muttering threats and accusations. They found the projector, still displaying the damning financial documents. They found a family in ruins. And they found me, standing calmly amidst the chaos, a quiet observer. The broken silver necklace on the floor glinted, a stark reminder of what was lost and what was gained. What happens now? That's the real question, isn't it? Henderson is facing a mountain of federal charges, thanks to Dave's meticulous work and the evidence I presented. Sarah, she's a victim, yes, but also complicit. Her fate is uncertain, caught between the law and her family's dark past. And me? I'm free. Free from the lies. Free from the manipulation. But also, strangely, free from the anger. It's a cold, quiet freedom. The war is over. But the peace? That's a whole new battle. And for the first